Now we have a presentation, well, of actually 2 to 3 speakers. The topic is performance monitoring with GitLab CI, and our speakers for this session are Moti Korets, he is software engineer at Joyn GmbH, and Erik Lukac, site reliability engineer at ProSieben Sat.1 Digital GmbH, who are working closely with GitLab. So we also have a GitLab a representative on this session who's kind of moderating the whole thing, which is Saumya Upadhyaya. She is senior product marketing manager at GitLab, and will also guide you through this one. And as I can see, the team is already ready to present. So let's give it a second and set everything up so they can immediately start with their talk. So here we go. I think this looks good, and we're good to start. Thanks.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Saumya Upadhyaya, and I'm a product marketing manager at GitLab. Today, we're going to cover the journey of 2 companies, ProSieben as well as Joyn, on their DevOps journey, and then we'll also look at how they've used GitLab for their DevOps journey. Next slide, please. We have 2 guests today. The first is Erik Lukac, who is a site reliability engineer at ProSieben Sat. And then we also have Moti Korets, who's a software engineer at Joyn. I will be the host for this session. And like I've already introduced myself, I'm a product marketing manager at GitLab. Next slide, please. So quick introduction about GitLab before I hand it over to Erik to talk about ProSieben and Joyn. So GitLab is a single application for the entire DevOps lifecycle. It covers various DevOps use cases such as version control and collaboration, continuous integration and continuous delivery, GitOps, security as a part of DevOps as well. We were incorporated back in 2014, and we are a completely remote company. Our 1,200 plus employees work remotely across 65 countries in the world. We have over 100,000 organizations that are using GitLab for their DevOps journey, and we have millions of users who are using our free solution that is available for their DevOps journey as well. We are an open core company. Our base is open source. We have over 2,500 code contributors. Every month we release, we have over 200 contributions that are actually coming from our open source contributors themselves. And with that, I will hand over to Erik to talk about their DevOps journey with GitLab.
So hi guys, my name is Erik. Thanks for participating. So about ProSieben and Joyn. Joyn mainly is a private broadcaster in DACH, which is Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And if you would like to see more, I provided you some link you can click on. So me especially, I work for ProSieben Sat.1 Digital. That is a subsidiary of ProSieben Sat.1 Media SE. So this is a Société Européenne, and we are just a subsidiary. Joyn, again, I've provided you the link for it. If you are curious, is formerly called 7TV Joint Venture GmbH, which is a streaming portal. It also contains Maxdome. It has joint selection on high velocity trains here in Germany. It is formerly known as Maxdome on Board. It is a local player also in DACH, and it is not a subsidiary of ProSieben, but it is a joint venture of ProSieben and the Discovery channel. So something that is, if you did not come across, yes, we all are hiring. So if you're interested, you don't have to Google the URLs, just click on it. Don't be too shy. Yeah, and then the next, I'm part of a SRE team that has 6 specialists, and we're covering layer 2 to 8, and yeah, mostly on cloud-based problems. And our goal is to reduce toll as much as possible. Yeah, and we also use GitLab. And before we used GitLab, we had basically everything. We had Subversion, we had some stuff also, not just single in a single instance, but multiple times with local user management. Let's say we had Bitbucket, we had Jenkins, we had Nexus, we had SonarQube in the time when I joined the company. And yeah, that was kind of mess. And yeah, now the whole world turned around and it became much better. We use now GitLab as a single EC2 instance, so no geo-replicated. The whole infrastructure is described within Terraform, and the machine setup is configured by Ansible. We're using AWS native RDS. We're using Elastic Cache and S3 as storage backends, and of course EBS. We have now a centralized user management based on LDAP and Okta, and we have different runners for different use cases that are based on Shell, Docker, and Docker Machine, which are partly hardware-based, but also EC2 and EC2 spot instances, like Docker Machine supports. And yeah, by that we provide a solid base that is available to all teams, which is very important for us. So they do not have to care about any of GitLab related information, mostly, yeah. And the question why we use GitLab, it was initially a side effect on the migration of Maxdome from on-premise data center components to a cloud-based infrastructure, and some departments were merged together. And there was already some knowledge existing within the company and some infrastructure. And yeah, when we were building up a new GitLab instance, we tried to get rid of some complexity. Let's say we merged some Jenkins sense together so that also no further instances are required after having pushed some code. And we had some inconsistent setup and some coding baselines that were wanted to get rid of. And yeah, everything else other than containing and managing software, or let's say the code to the software, happened by the time from out of the box. So we grew better by the time. And yeah, now it looks like we use some basic features and some other teams are using some advanced features from GitLab that's team dependent. And from our side, I can say that the main goal is to automate everything. Also, the testing part that were done in the past by hand is now able to be automated mostly. The most impressive thing I came across there was some Docker Composer-like pipelines with local stack that are simulating AWS infrastructure parts. And the latest innovation from our side is some policy-based, or we call it zero trust deployments for application and infrastructure in multi-AWS account setups, which will not be part of today, but of another talk. Yeah, and at the moment we're testing Canico to replace the privileged mode on Docker runners. I've provided you the link how to use Canico here. It looks fancy, and the main advantage is that you can use Fargate-based runners, which is part of GitLab since 12.8, 12.9, I don't recall that exactly. And at the moment, we're also testing EKS or Kubernetes. In the future, we will use Fargate-based runners and Kubernetes. We're going to enhance some advanced zero trust deployments. We want to get rid of our shell runners, and we will educate our colleagues on GitLab days. Sorry. Okay, now Moti, it's your turn.
Thank you. I would like to present how we use GitLab CI to monitor performance of our web application. As part of our process to improve performance of web application, we introduced performance monitoring as part of CI. It allows us to spot performance regressions as early as possible. From the moment that the developer opens the MR, we can see all the numbers regarding performance. Immediately on the MR, on the merge request, and assess if we need to improve more or change something. Additionally, it allows us to set performance budgeting, which means if certain merge request is reducing the times that it takes for the application to load, we will immediately see the continuous integration as failing, as it would fail for tests, for example. Any number could used for this, initial load, kilobytes of data transferred, etc. We can always know where we're at and where we're headed. When working on improvements, we can see how much each merge request improve the performance, if it's loading faster, if there's less JavaScript running, and stuff like this. Additionally, we can compare different commits and branches. We can see which approach works better, and if some specific commit introduced a regression, we can spot it as early as possible. It allows us to motivate teams to improve on the numbers, add those numbers to OKRs, and create gamification competition between teams who can improve more on this. Most of the tools that we integrated provide actionable items, so it will not just tell you that the merge request failed because of performance budgeting, but it will also provide you with useful information on how you can improve to make it work faster. So the tools that we used, first of all, is SiteSpeed.io. It's a very flexible and versatile tool. It has many powerful plugins, and what's important for us was a plugin to use with GitLab, which exports a performance JSON file, and this will provide the data of the performance regressions or improvements immediately on the merge request. It also allows us to use reporting with a dedicated server and plot all historical data and compare. So on the first screenshot, you can see an example of a performance score and total size, number of requests, it's some other data that SiteSpeed.io gathers. And the second screenshot is more general overview of many other metrics. Next tool is Lighthouse. It's basically the industry standard for measuring performance, web performance. It provides very condensed information, as it's not as versatile as SiteSpeed, but the information it provides is very condensed, and it provides many actionable items, pre-connecting to origins, reducing image size, etc. Also, with Lighthouse, we can use reporting with LHCI server. I will show you later how to set it up and how to send the information. So here you can see the performance metrics that Lighthouse gathers with different actionable items, and on the right is the plotted historical data from LHCI server. Another tool we use is a web page test. Is a more extensive report, and most importantly, it allows you to emulate many devices and geolocations. So if your application is accessed from internationally from many places, you can set a setup, check how my website loads from India on certain web frame, for example. So to set it all up, first of all, you need an environment. We use a feature app, which means for every merge request, we will create a different environment. But it's not a requirement to use all the other stuff. You can run Lighthouse and SiteSpeed against an local run that runs inside the job, and maybe I'll show you later what I mean. To set SiteSpeed, the easiest way is using a GitLab template. You can follow the link and see. It's very easy. You just need to add 2 lines in your GitLab CI YAML file and provide it with the URL you want. In case you run it against a static environment like dev, you're just putting the URL. If you use feature apps, I will show in the demo how you can pass the URL to the job. Yes, so every SiteSpeed IO will produce on the merge request. As you can see here, degradation on 12 points. We of course we want to avoid it. Just an example, but you can see the transfer size increased by 20 kilobytes, speed index increased, and the total score is decreased. On the right, you can see a Lighthouse report with also comparison to some base numbers. And it will tell you maximum potential first input delay, for example, was increased by 200 milliseconds with some coloring of it's something we want to avoid. We want this number to be lower, of course. Yeah, so to show the data from SiteSpeed IO is embedded in GitLab, but to post some data from Lighthouse, it's better to use a dedicated user which has a permission to post notes on the repository, and with some simple scripting, which again I will show shortly, you can post a message on the merge request with links to all the appropriate reports. Performance budgeting is also done through Lighthouse. It's just a matter of setting up a Lighthouse JSON file and adding assertions for each desired numbers that you want. So, for example, if you want the total score not be less than 65, you can set it as you see here, and it would produce an error. Additionally, you could just make it as a warning, or set a number, set higher or lower boundaries for any numbers that Lighthouse measures. To plot the historical data, we use LHCI server. It's very easy to set up on Heroku. You can follow the link. It's a matter of few commands, and on other platforms, you need to use Docker, but it's also something you can do in less than 1 hour. Yeah, and I will share, yes. Yeah, so for example, I have a project that I created. It only has a deploy step. Okay, and let me. Okay, so I added the Lighthouse CI step. We can see the code here. I use an image of Cypress that includes a browser because Lighthouse needs to run in a browser. Installing Lighthouse CI and basically running it against the URL. As I mentioned, when you use review app, you need to pass the URL. Here I do it through an artifact. So on a deploy step, I will save the URL that produced and extract it into a variable in next job. After having the URL, I just run LHCI, and the assertion will make sure we still in our budget numbers. So it will compare with Lighthouse JSON file. Here, for example, if the first contentful pane will take more than 3 seconds, we will see an error. We'll see an error on the pipeline. Here we can see pipeline is running. It runs Lighthouse. Meanwhile, another important point, we add into artifacts a Lighthouse CI folder, and this will allow us to see the product results inside the artifacts. So if I click on Browse now, I can see the Lighthouse report. Yep, that's basically it. Thank you. So to summarize, before we use the GitLab, we didn't have performance metrics on each merge request, and with GitLab CI, we could spot degradations, set up a performance budget, and identify and resolve bottlenecks in our applications.
Thank you, Moti. Do you want me to share, or would you continue sharing?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Erik and Moti, for your awesome presentation on how you've been using GitLab. So just like ProSieben and Joyn, we have 100,000 plus customers who are using GitLab. It's trusted by enterprises across many different verticals, including software consulting, business and financial services, consumer retail, and so on. Next slide, please. So in addition to being recognized by customers, we also have validation from analysts for both our execution as well as our roadmap. So IDC has identified us as an innovator in a number of different areas. Gartner, in their enterprise agile planning tools Magic Quadrant in 2019, has identified us as a visionary for our vision in terms of being a single application in the DevOps space itself, which includes CI/CD, which includes security, source control management, and so on. Forrester has identified us as a leader in the continuous integration tools in the second half of 2019. In fact, what's also not mentioned here is we've also been identified as a challenger by Forrester in their application release quadrant, which is not yet here on the screenshot, but it will be on our website in the analyst page pretty soon. Next slide, please. To summarize, why do our customers actually use GitLab? We are a leading source control management, CI/CD, security solution in one single application itself. We have a built-in security and compliance capability within the application. We provide end-to-end insight and visibility. So from your developer productivity to all the way to your operations environments, end-to-end, you can actually view what's really going on in your software development environment and what are the metrics that you can go ahead and improve. You can deploy your software anywhere. We support multiple environments, cloud, virtual, and on-prem environments. We also have flexible hosting options. Both we have a SaaS solution as well as a self-managed option. We are rapidly innovating. We're an open company. Our roadmaps are online. We release every single month. On the 22nd, for the last 100+ months, we've been releasing every single month. And we have contributions from our customers as well. So every release, we have over 200 contributions that do come from our customers. So we get a lot of validation for our execution and our roadmap from our customers, and we work in a very collaborative and transparent manner with our customers. Our vision and our execution point to one single direction, which is to be a complete DevOps platform delivered as a single application, so that you don't really require multiple different tools that you need to bring in and integrate and maintain as well over a period of time, which itself seems to be a challenge for a lot of companies. So our vision is to be a single platform which can provide you all the requirements that you have for your DevOps journey itself. With that, I will end this presentation and we'll open up for questions. Thank you.
So, thank you very much for the presentation to all of you. I think now we have a few moments left for the Q&A. So I would kindly ask you to switch on the video again. I think we can also show ourselves during the Q&A. I already see Erik. Oh, nice background there. And also Moti. Hi, Moti. Hi again. I think you are still muted, so feel free. There we go. Now I can hear you again. Lukac as well. Perfect. So thanks again for the presentation. I think we have a few moments left for the Q&A. So I would say let's start right with it. The first question that I got is, you mentioned that you use a review app to run your tests. Is that the same as a test staging environment?
Exactly. You could use a staging environment to make the performance test. The only difference, you have to make sure the first step will complete the deploy, and only after this you run the performance test.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. The next question that I have is, what is the best way to handle merging processes in GitLab?
So I guess everybody has the peer review system. There is no one-size-fits-all solution, as I'm aware of, but of course, automated tests should be part of this, and yeah, probably performance tests would be also very nice to have.
Of course, yeah. Thank you very much. I got another question here, which is, were you actually able to spot degradations much faster by integrating into GitLab CI? And if that was the case, by how much time? Do you maybe have an example for that?
A very good question. We were able to spot it much faster. So usually you will see in worst case, you will see it on production, of course. But even before it comes to staging, because we use the review app, before the merge request is merged, in the peer review process, a person could already see, okay, you have a performance degradation of 2 points. Let's see what's going on. What are the changes? Why it goes down? How it could be fixed? And then even before it comes to staging to QA or something else, the developers already fix the problem.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you very much for this one. I have another question here, which is, well, actually, how long did it take in collaboration with GitLab to actually, yeah, set everything up to get the performance monitoring ball rolling?
The setting up could be done in few hours. It's just a matter if you know what you're doing. And if you have specific questions, you can email me and I will be happy to help.
All right. Well, a few hours sounds really quick, so that's good to hear. I think for now I have one final question. So again, to the audience, if you have further questions, now it's the time. We would have another 1 or 2 minutes to go into those, but for now I'll take the last question, which is, well, what are your next planned initiatives with GitLab?
Well, we heard today some good ideas about HashiCorp Vault, so that will be some for the next steps. Also, at the moment, we're working on getting rid of the permission how is it called? So we're trying to use Canico to be able to use Fargate-based runners, which are much more cheaper. And yeah, EKS is one of our further steps.
All right, cool. I got another question as you were answering this one. I think we can also take this one as well. Is performance testing carried out in a separate NAV? How do we establish baseline for the performance metrics if in the CI ENV environment?
So again, the environment is our choice. We can run it again against the development. But if you have the review app, which is earlier stage, you could also do it there. Depending on where you run your test, the baseline would be the next stage. So you want to compare, if you're running it on dev, you want to compare to stage. If you run it on stage, you want to compare to production. Mm-hmm. In our case, we do it on the review app, and then we will compare to dev. To master that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, one final question I got here. Can the web UI of Git be improved, or is there a way to customize it?
So one thing I didn't show here is sending links into the merge request, which is super useful. It could be added with few more lines of code. And again, if you need more examples, please email me and I will send you the source code of our CI files, stuff that I can. There are much more possibilities of, we even have one of our colleagues developed a CI bot, GitLab bot in Go that makes all the process very easy. So with just one line, put it the links and the metrics on the merge request.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think I also spotted a hand sign from the audience, but we are a bit running out of time. So if you have a question, feel free to also put it into chat or the Q&A tab. I'm happy to forward those to the speakers as well. So also for all the others, other queries that may still be there or open. So first of all, thanks again, all of you, for joining us and for the presentation and for taking the questions. And yeah, thanks for being here and have a nice day ahead.